Kate Bridgerton asked one question at Benedict's wedding, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. Whose wedding do we attend next? For words. Simple enough. Except right there in the same frame stood the two women who have spent 4 entire seasons building the highest possible walls around their hearts, Eloise and Francesca, and both of them smiled politely and gave the ton exactly the answer it feared. Eloise said she loves a wedding, as an attendee, full stop, and Francesca, still warm from the shadow of grief, said she had already had her great love. One time was enough. 2 women, 2 locked doors, and season 5 is already standing at both of them with a key, and I genuinely don't think either of them sees it coming. Now here's the thing about Eloise that absolutely wrecked me in season 4, because she didn't announce a change. She didn't cry over a man or suddenly soften into something unrecognizable. She sat with Hyacinth, who had watched Francesca fall apart from up close, and instead of doubling down on everything she'd ever said about marriage, she paused. And then she said she could see that on occasion marriage might have its advantages: companionship, family, a prime seat at a soiree. And then, the part that got me, she looked around at her siblings and said that if not for her parents' marriage, none of them would have each other, which she called a rather large reward. That is not the Eloise of season 1. That is not even the Eloise of season 3. That is a woman whose armor has a very quiet crack in it and doesn't even fully realize it yet. And that is exactly where a love story should begin. Her story in Julia Quinn's books is an epistolary romance with Sir Philip Crane. They write letters to each other for roughly a year before they ever stand in the same room. And for Eloise, a woman who lives entirely in her own head and processes the world through language and ideas, that kind of slow burn is almost unfairly perfect. Philip expected a meek, agreeable woman who might help him raise his twins. What he gets is Eloise Bridgerton showing up at his door uninvited, fully herself, and completely unwilling to be what anyone imagined. And now I need to talk about what this show did to Francesca in season 4, because I genuinely don't think we've finished processing it. She didn't just lose John. In one devastating stretch she lost him. Then she lost the possibility of a pregnancy she'd been quietly waiting for. And then she sat alone with the wreckage of the entire future she had built around a person who was no longer there. Hannah Dodd said her character reaches a point of absolute ground zero. She can't take anything else. And that kind of emptiness, that particular kind of hollow, is actually a powerful and terrifying place to start building a new love story, because there's nothing left to protect anymore. And here is where it gets complicated and beautiful and genuinely unlike anything this show has ever attempted, because right in the middle of all that grief Michaela arrived. John's cousin. Outgoing, impulsive, completely the opposite of Francesca in almost every way. And the show never once gave us a single scene from Michaela's own perspective across the entire season. Every moment with her was filtered through someone else's eyes. And showrunner Jess Brownell confirmed that was completely intentional. She was always a mystery, because she was always meant to be Francesca's mystery to solve. And then Michaela agreed to stay in London and then disappeared without saying goodbye. And that exit was not a loose end, that exit was a question planted with full deliberate intention, because a lot is going on with Michaela that viewers haven't discovered yet, and season 5 is where all of it begins to unravel. Because what the show has been building toward, and this is genuinely a landmark moment, is that Francesca and Michaela's love story will be the first fully central queer relationship in Bridgerton's entire history. A complete 8-episode season built around a same-sex love story at the very heart of the ton, not a subplot, not a quiet acknowledgement the whole season, and the writers gender-swapped Michael Sterling from the books into Michaela, which makes the story even richer because now, it isn't just a widow finding love again. It's a woman slowly discovering an entirely different version of herself, and what love can look like when it arrives in a form you never expected and couldn't have named even if you tried. And then there's the mystery that has me completely unhinged, because Penelope Bridgerton put down the pen, she retired Lady Whistledown, she was writing a novel, Queen Charlotte gave her blessing, it felt like a clean ending. And then right there in the season 4 finale a fresh Whistledown pamphlet started circulating Mayfair with different handwriting and a different voice, and for the first time in Bridgerton history, book readers have absolutely no advantage. Everyone is starting from zero because this storyline was created entirely for the show, and it could be anyone. It could even be Penelope herself, since she is very, very good at keeping secrets from the person she loves most, and freedom sometimes feels worse than the secret. Jess Brownell showed up to the season 4 premiere wearing pocket squares embroidered with E and F, confirming Eloise and Francesca as leads of seasons 5 and 6. But when pressed on the order she said, "In what order I can't say." Season 5 is expected sometime in late 2027 or early 2028, and Shonda Rhimes has already called it a really steamy season, and I will be thinking about every single one of these threads until then. Two sisters, one quietly opening her heart, one completely convinced hers is locked forever. And season 5 is about to make at least one of them eat every single word she said at Benedict's wedding. The tone is about to change. And honestly, I am so ready to not be ready for it.